Wait, isn't that Sophia? The woman who used to clean houses for a living? How is she stepping out of a limousine with three identical babies? And why does she look like she owns the entire world? Girl, let me tell you something. Sometimes life has this wild way of flipping the script on people who think they've got you all figured out. Sometimes the person who throws you away like trash becomes the very reason you discover you're actually made of diamonds. My name is Sophia, and this is the story of how I went from being the woman who got kicked out of her own home in pajamas to becoming the woman who pulled up to her ex-husband's wedding in a white limousine with triplets that broke the internet and a bank account that would make him cry. But before we dive into this absolutely insane journey, I need y'all to do something for me real quick. Hit that subscribe button like your life depends on it. Give this video the biggest like you've ever given, and drop your flag in the comments because I am dying to know where my beautiful souls are watching from. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now buckle up, because this story is about to take you on a ride that you will never forget. It all started 8 years ago when I was 26 and married to a man named Derek. Now, Derek wasn't just any regular guy. This man was fine. 6'4", caramel skin that looked like it was kissed by angels, and a smile that could make your grandmother give him her life savings. But here's the thing about fine men with no substance. They know they're fine, and they use that fineness to get away with everything. Derek was the type of man who thought his good looks were a substitute for good character. When we got married, I was working 3 jobs just to keep us afloat. 3 jobs, y'all. I was cleaning houses during the day, working at a call center at night, and doing weekend catering gigs just to pay the bills while Derek pursued his music career. Now I'm all for supporting your partner's dreams, but this man hadn't written a song in 2 years. His idea of pursuing music was sitting on the couch with his guitar, playing the same 3 chords while I worked myself to the bone. But I loved him. Lord knows I loved that man with everything in me. I believed in the fantasy that love could change people, that if I just loved him hard enough, sacrificed enough, gave enough, he would transform into the man I needed him to be. The problem started when Derek's ex-girlfriend Maya came back into the picture. Now Maya was everything I wasn't: tall, light-skinned, college-educated, came for money. She had left Derek 3 years earlier to pursue some fancy job in New York, and now she was back with her MBA and her designer bags and her condescending smile. Derek claimed they were just friends, that she was helping him with some business connections for his music. But I wasn't stupid. I could see the way he lit up when she texted, the way he started caring about his appearance again, the way he suddenly had studio sessions that lasted until 3 in the morning. The final straw came on a Tuesday. I had just finished a 16-hour shift, cleaning houses all day, and then working a double at the call center, and I came home exhausted, my feet killing me, just wanting to fall into bed next to my husband. But when I walked into our apartment, Derek wasn't alone. Maya was there, sitting on our couch in a silk dress that probably cost more than I made in a month, sipping wine from glasses that I had bought with my house-cleaning money. And Derek was looking at her like she was the answer to every prayer he'd ever prayed. "Sophia," he said, jumping up like I had caught him doing something wrong. "You're home early." Early? It was almost midnight. I had just worked 16 hours. "I live here," I said quietly, looking between them. "What's going on?" Maya smiled, that fake smile that women give when they're about to destroy your life. Derek and I were just discussing some opportunities. The music industry is all about networking, you know. I looked at my husband, waiting for him to say something, anything that would make this make sense. Instead, he looked annoyed that I had interrupted whatever was happening. "Maya's got connections at some major labels," he said, not meeting my eyes. "This could be my big break. My big break." After 8 years of marriage, after working myself to exhaustion to support his dreams, it was still his big break. "Derek, can I talk to you in the kitchen?" I asked. He sighed like I was bothering him. "Sophia, we're in the middle of something important." Important? Their conversation was more important than his wife, who had just worked 16 hours to keep a roof over his head. That's when Maya spoke up. "Actually, Derek, maybe I should go. We can finish discussing this tomorrow, when you have more privacy." The way she said privacy, looking at me like I was some kind of interruption in my own home, made my blood boil. "No, don't go on my account," I said, my voice getting sharper. "I'll just go to bed. Clearly, I'm not needed here." Derek didn't even try to stop me. Didn't follow me to the bedroom. Didn't come to bed at all that night. I lay there listening to them talk and laugh until almost 4 in the morning, knowing in my heart that my marriage was over. The next morning, Derek was different. Cold. Distant. Like someone had flipped a switch and turned off whatever love he had left for me. "We need to talk," he said over coffee, not looking at me. My heart sank. "About what?" "About US. About what we're doing here." I set down my coffee cup with shaking hands. "What are you saying?" Derek finally looked at me, and his eyes were empty. "I'm saying this isn't working, Sophia. We're not working." "What do you mean we're not working?" "I work 3 jobs to support your dreams." "That's exactly the problem," he said, and his voice was so casual it broke my heart. "You're so focused on working that you don't understand what I need." "What you need?" "Derek, what you need is for me to pay all the bills while you play guitar in the living room." "See, this is what I'm talking about," he said, shaking his head. "You don't support my vision. Maya understands what I'm trying to build." Maya. There it was. So this is about Maya. This is about me finally realizing that I deserve someone who believes in my potential. I stared at this man I had loved for 8 years, this man I had sacrificed everything for, and I didn't recognize him. "Derek, I've believed in you for 8 years. I've worked myself to exhaustion believing in you. Working 3 jobs isn't believing in me, Sophia. It's you trying to control me." The twisted logic of it made me want to scream. Working to pay our bills was controlling him? "Where am I supposed to go?" I asked quietly. Derek shrugged. "That's not really my problem anymore." And just like that, 8 years of marriage were over. Derek gave me 2 hours to pack my things and get out. 2 hours to gather 8 years of my life and find somewhere to go. I had nowhere to go. My parents had passed away years earlier. I had no siblings, and I had been so focused on working and taking care of Derek that I had no close friends. I ended up in a women's shelter with 2 garbage bags full of everything I owned. 26 years old, homeless, heartbroken, and completely alone. The first few weeks were the darkest of my life. I cried myself to sleep on a cot in a room with 5 other women, wondering how I had ended up with so little. I kept my 3 jobs, but now instead of coming home to my own place, I was coming back to a shelter where I had to follow rules and curfews like a child. But you know what they say about rock bottom? It gives you a solid place to build from. It was at the shelter that I met Elena. Elena was a social worker who had left her corporate job to help women rebuild their lives. She was the first person in months who looked at me and saw potential instead of pity. "You work 3 jobs," she said during our first meeting. "Most people can barely handle one." "I do what I have to do," I said quietly. "No, you do what most people can't do. That's not survival, Sophia. That's strength." Elena helped me see that my work ethic wasn't just about paying bills, it was about something deeper. I had a drive that most people only dream about. "What would you do if money wasn't an issue?" she asked me one day. I had never been asked that question before. In my marriage, everything had been about Derek's dreams. My own dreams had been buried so deep I had forgotten they existed. "I used to want to open a catering business," I said quietly. "I love cooking." "What's stopping you now?" "Elena, I'm living in a shelter. I don't have money for a business." "You don't need money to start planning. You need vision, determination, and skills. You already have all 3. She was right. While I was doing catering gigs, I had noticed something. People loved my food. Not just liked it, loved it. I had a gift that I had been treating like just another way to pay bills. Elena introduced me to a program that helped women start small businesses. They provided training, mentorship, and eventually small business loans. For the first time in my life, I wasn't working for someone else's dream. I was working for my own. I spent every free moment learning about business plans, marketing, food safety regulations. I started small, doing catering jobs out of the shelter's kitchen during approved hours. My breakthrough came when I catered a birthday party for one of Elena's friends. It was a small event, maybe 20 people, but I put my heart into it. I made my grandmother's secret recipe mac and cheese, my famous honey garlic wings, and a dessert bar that had people asking for my business card. But here's the thing, I didn't have business cards. I was still living in a shelter. One of the guests was a woman named Patricia, who owned several restaurants in the city. She pulled me aside after the party. "Who taught you to cook like this?" she asked. "My grandmother," I said. "And necessity." Patricia laughed. "Necessity is the best teacher. Listen, I don't know your situation, but I know talent when I taste it. Here's my card. When you're ready to get serious about this, call me." That night, I stared at Patricia's business card until the lights went out in the shelter. This was it. This was my chance. The next morning, I called her. Patricia didn't just offer me advice. She offered me an opportunity. She had a small commercial kitchen that she used for catering prep, and she was willing to rent it to me during off hours for a fraction of what other places charged. "I believe in giving women a chance," she said. "But I also believe in holding them accountable. You mess this up and it's over." I wasn't going to mess it up. Within 6 months, Sophia's Soul Food was the most requested catering service in the city. I wasn't just cooking food. I was creating experiences. Every event I catered became a talking point, a memory, something people bragged about to their friends. The money started coming in. Real money. More money than I had ever seen in my life. I moved out of the shelter and into a small apartment. Then a bigger apartment. Then I bought my first house, a beautiful 4-bedroom in the suburbs with a kitchen that was bigger than my old apartment. But success wasn't just about the money. It was about the respect. For the first time in my life, people weren't looking at me with pity or dismissal. They were looking at me with admiration. "How did you build this so fast?" clients would ask. 8 years of marriage taught me how to work hard, I'd say. Being divorced taught me how to work smart. 2 years after Derek kicked me out in my pajamas, I was running a catering business with 12 employees and a waiting list that stretched for months. That's when I met Marcus. Marcus was different from Derek in every way that mattered. Where Derek was all surface and no substance, Marcus was quiet confidence and deep character. He was a photographer who had been hired to document one of my catering events. "I've never seen someone command a kitchen like that," he said as I was cleaning up after a wedding I had catered for 300 people. "Control the kitchen, control the chaos," I said, wiping sweat from my forehead. "Can I take you to dinner sometime? Somewhere you don't have to cook?" I almost said no. I was still healing from Derek, still building my business, still learning how to trust my own judgment. But something about Marcus felt safe. Maybe it was the way he had spent the entire evening respecting my space while I worked, or the way he talked to my staff with the same courtesy he showed me. Our first date was at a small Ethiopian restaurant downtown. Marcus insisted on picking somewhere I couldn't possibly have catered before, so I could just enjoy the experience of being served. "Tell me about your business," he said over dinner. For the next hour, I talked about my vision for expanding, my dreams of maybe opening a restaurant, my plans for hiring more women who needed second chances. Marcus listened. Really listened. Asked thoughtful questions. Offered genuine encouragement. "You're building something incredible," he said. "Not just a business, but a legacy." No one had ever called my work a legacy before. 6 months later, Marcus and I were inseparable. He wasn't just my boyfriend. He was my partner. He helped me with marketing photos, offered business advice, celebrated every success like it was his own. A year after that, he proposed. Not with a big production or social media spectacle, but quietly, privately, on a Sunday morning in my kitchen while I was making pancakes. "Marry me," he said simply. "Okay," I said, just as simply. We got married in my backyard with 50 of our closest friends and family. I catered my own wedding because I couldn't imagine trusting anyone else with such an important day. 6 months after our wedding, I got pregnant. And not just pregnant with triplets. 3 babies, the ultrasound technician said with wonder. 3 healthy babies. Marcus cried. Happy tears, Overwhelmed tears, grateful tears.
But me?
I felt like I was finally getting everything I had ever dreamed of and more than I had ever dared to hope for. Lily, Grace, and Joy were born healthy and perfect. 3 little miracles who looked like tiny versions of me but had Marcus's calm temperament. By the time the girls were 6 months old, my business had expanded to 3 locations. I had been featured in magazines, won awards, been invited to cater events for celebrities and politicians. The broken woman who had left Derek's apartment with 2 garbage bags had become someone she never could have imagined. That's when Derek decided to get back in touch. It started with a friend request on social media that I ignored, then an email that I deleted. Then he somehow got my business phone number. Sophia, his voice on the voicemail was exactly the same. Smooth, confident, like no time had passed at all. I heard about your success. I'm really happy for you. I'm getting married next month, and I'd love for you to be there. It would mean a lot to Maya and me. Maya. Of course he was marrying Maya. I played the voicemail for Marcus that night after the girls were asleep. He wants to invite me to his wedding, I said, still processing the audacity. Why would he do that? Marcus asked. Because he thinks I'm still that broken woman who left his apartment with nothing. He wants to parade his success in front of me and make me feel small. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. What if you're not small anymore? What do you mean? What if instead of avoiding him, you show him exactly who you became after he threw you away? Not to prove anything to him, but to prove something to yourself. I thought about it for a week. Thought about the woman I used to be and the woman I had become. Thought about Derek thinking he could still make me feel inadequate when I was living a life he couldn't even dream of. Finally, I called him back. Derek, it's Sophia. Sophia, I'm so glad you called me back. I'll come to your wedding, I said simply. Really? That's amazing. Maya will be so happy. I doubt Maya would be happy about anything involving me, but I kept that thought to myself. Where should I send the invitation? Derek asked. I gave him my business address. I wasn't giving him my home address. The invitation arrived a week later. Expensive cardstock, gold lettering, held at the most exclusive venue in the city. Derek had clearly done well for himself, or more likely, Maya's family money was funding their lifestyle. The invitation was addressed to Sophia Martinez, my maiden name. Derek either didn't know I had remarried or chose to ignore it. Inside was a handwritten note. So excited to celebrate with you. It will be just like old times. Maya. Just like old times. When I was broken and desperate and she was the woman stealing my husband. This was going to be interesting. I spent 2 weeks planning my appearance at that wedding like I was planning a military operation. This wasn't about revenge. It was about closure. It was about walking into that room as the woman I had become and letting Derek see exactly what he had thrown away. I hired a driver and a white stretch limousine. Not to show off, but to make an entrance. I bought a dress that was elegant but not attention-seeking. A deep purple that complemented my skin tone and showed off the confidence I had built over the years. Most importantly, I planned to bring my family, Marcus and our 3 beautiful daughters, living proof of everything Derek had told me I would never have. The day of the wedding, as we were getting dressed, Marcus asked me one more time, "Are you sure about this?" I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The girls looked like tiny angels in their matching yellow dresses. Marcus looked like he had stepped off the cover of a magazine in his charcoal suit. And me? I looked like a woman who had rebuilt herself from the ground up and wasn't afraid to show the world. The limousine ride to the venue took 30 minutes. 30 minutes for my heart to race, for old insecurities to surface, for doubt to creep in. What if he still makes me feel small? I asked Marcus. Baby, Marcus said, taking my hand. Look at what you've built. Look at our family. Look at the woman you've become. Derek can't make you feel anything you don't choose to feel. He was right. The venue was exactly as pretentious as I had expected. Marble everything, crystal chandeliers, servers in white gloves carrying champagne on silver trays. Our limousine pulled up behind a line of expensive cars. BMWs, Mercedes, a few Teslas. Derek's crowd had definitely moved up in the world. The valet's eyes widened when he saw our white limousine. These people were used to nice cars, but a white stretch limo was statement level. Marcus got out first, then helped me out. The girls followed, chattering excitedly about the pretty castle we were visiting. I could feel eyes on us immediately. The elegant woman in purple stepping out of a limousine with 3 identical toddlers and a man who looked like he belonged in movies. We weren't just arriving at a wedding. We were making an entrance. Inside, the cocktail hour was in full swing. I recognized some faces from Derek's old circle, people who had known me when I was struggling and broken. The transformation in their expressions was immediate. Confusion, recognition, then something that looked almost like AWE. Sophia? A woman nah. Good to see you again. Janet's eyes moved from me to Marcus to the girls, clearly trying to process what she was seeing. You look incredible. And these beautiful babies. Thank you. This is my husband Marcus, and these are our daughters Lily, Grace, and Joy. Triplets, Janet said with wonder. Oh my God. I could see her calculating in her head, trying to figure out how the woman who used to clean houses had ended up looking like she owned the world. What are you doing now? She asked. I own a catering company. Sophia's Soul Food. Maybe you've heard of IT? Janet's eyes went wide. You're Sophia's Soul Food? I've been trying to book you for my daughter's wedding for months. We're pretty booked up, I said with a smile. The conversation was interrupted by a commotion near the entrance. Derek had arrived, and he was scanning the room like he was looking for someone. When his eyes found mine, his face went through a series of expressions I'll never forget. Confusion, recognition, shock, and finally something that looked almost like panic. I watched him excuse himself from his group and start walking toward us, his steps getting slower as he got closer. Sophia, he said when he reached us, his voice uncertain. You came. Hello, Derek. Congratulations on your wedding. Derek's eyes moved from me to Marcus to the girls, and I could see him trying to make sense of what he was seeing. You look. He started, then stopped. Different. I suggested. Yeah. Really different. 8 years will do that to a person. Derek's attention moved to Marcus, and I saw something flicker in his eyes that looked like jealousy. And you are? Derek asked, his voice getting sharper. Marcus, my husband said simply, extending his hand. Sophia's husband. The word husband hit Derek like a slap. His eyes darted to my ring finger, where a beautiful diamond caught the light. Husband, Derek repeated slowly. Yes. And these are our daughters. Derek looked down at Lily, Grace, and Joy, who were holding hands and looking around at all the pretty decorations. Triplets, he said quietly. Yes. I watched Derek process this information. The woman he had thrown away for being too focused on work had gotten married, had 3 children, and looked like success incarnate. That's amazing, Derek said, but his voice sounded hollow. Before I could respond, Maya appeared beside him. She looked exactly the same, tall, elegant, perfectly put together. But when she saw me, something shifted in her expression. Sophia, she said, her voice carefully controlled. What a surprise. Maya. You look beautiful. Congratulations on your wedding. Maya's eyes did the same scan that Derek's had done me, Marcus, the girls, and I saw her calculating something in her head. Thank you for coming, she said, though her tone suggested she wished I hadn't. I'm so glad Derek stayed in touch with his old friends. Old friends. That was one way to put it. Well, I said brightly, Derek and I have so much history. I could miss his big day. I saw Maya's jaw tighten almost imperceptibly. She knew exactly what history Derek and I had. And your husband is very handsome, Maya said, looking at Marcus with interest. Thank you, Marcus said politely. Sophia's told me so much about her life before we met. The emphasis on before we met was subtle but clear. Marcus was marking his territory without being aggressive about it. And these precious babies, Maya said, looking down at the girls. They looked just like their mama. "Thank you," I said. "We're very blessed."
Blessed.
After Derek had made me feel like I was cursed. "What do you do now?" Maya asked, and I could hear the calculation in her voice. She was trying to figure out how to categorize me, how to diminish me. "I own Sophia's Soul Food," I said simply. Maya's expression didn't change, but I saw Derek's eyes widen. "The catering company?" Maya asked. "You know it." "Know it? We tried to book you for our engagement party. You were completely booked up." I smiled. "We stay pretty busy." I could see the wheels turning in Maya's head. The woman she had dismissed as Derek's broke ex-wife owned the most exclusive catering company in the city. "Well," Maya said, her voice getting tighter, "it's wonderful that you've found your niche."
Niche.
Like feeding people with some small hobby instead of the empire I had built. "It's been very fulfilling," I said. "There's something special about building something from nothing." The dig was subtle, but Derek caught it. His face flushed slightly. "We should find our seats," Maya said quickly. "The ceremony will be starting soon." As they walked away, I heard Maya hiss something to Derek under her breath. I couldn't make out the words, but Derek's defensive posture told me everything I needed to know. The ceremony was beautiful, I had to admit. Maya had excellent taste, and no expense had been spared. But I noticed things that probably escaped other guests. The way Derek kept glancing back at our table during the ceremony. The way Maya's smile looked forced whenever she caught sight of me. The way other guests kept whispering and pointing in our direction. Word was spreading quickly through the wedding about who I was and what I had become. During the reception dinner, people kept approaching our table. Old friends who wanted to reconnect, strangers who recognized my business name, Maya's family members who were curious about the woman with the triplets. Sophia's Soul Food catered my daughter's wedding last year, an older woman told our entire table. "It was the most incredible food I've ever tasted. We've been trying to get a reservation for months," another guest chimed in. I smiled graciously and handed out business cards, watching Derek's face get more strained with each interaction. But the real moment came during the speeches. Derek stood up to address his guests, looking handsome and confident in his perfectly tailored tuxedo. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began. "Maya and I are so grateful to have all the people who matter most to us here to celebrate this special day." He talked about his journey, his music career, which apparently was finally taking off, and how Maya had supported his dreams. "You know," Derek said, his voice getting more personal, "I've learned a lot about love over the years. I used to think love was about sacrifice, about one person giving up everything for the other. But real love is about two people supporting each other's growth, believing in each other's potential." I felt Marcus squeeze my hand under the table. Derek was essentially saying that our marriage had failed because I didn't believe in his potential. "Maya showed me what it meant to be with someone who truly understands my vision," Derek continued. "Someone who challenges me to be better instead of just enabling my limitations." The shot was direct and brutal. He was saying I had enabled his limitations while Maya had challenged him to greatness. So tonight, we celebrate not just our wedding, but the triumph of finding your true partner in life. The applause was enthusiastic, but I noticed several guests glancing uncomfortably in my direction. When Derek sat down, Maya stood up for her speech. "Thank you, baby," she said, blowing Derek a kiss. "Derek told me some of his old friends would be here tonight, and I'm so glad we get to share this moment with people from every chapter of his life." She was looking directly at me now. "You know, Derek and I have been through a lot together. We've had to overcome obstacles and challenges that tested our love and our commitment to each other." Maya paused, letting the tension build. "Some people might say we took the unconventional path to get here." Derek was married before to someone who, well, let's just say she had different priorities. My heart started beating faster. This was what I had been expecting. "Some women," Maya continued, her voice getting stronger, "they love with conditions. They love as long as everything fits their limited vision of what life should look like. But when your partner has big dreams, when they need someone who can match their ambition." She shrugged elegantly. Well, some people just can't rise to that challenge. The room was deadly quiet now. Everyone could sense that this speech had taken a sharp turn. Derek's first wife was a very practical woman, focused on paying bills and keeping things stable. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's the life you want to live. Practical. She was calling me small and unambitious. But some of us, Maya continued, raising her champagne glass, we're built for bigger things. We understand that sometimes you have to take risks, dream big, and surround yourself with people who share your vision. The applause was scattered and uncomfortable. Several guests were shifting in their seats, clearly recognizing that they were witnessing something that felt more like an attack than a wedding toast. So tonight, Maya concluded, we celebrate not just our love, but our courage to choose greatness over settling. As she sat down, I felt Marcus's hand tighten on mine. You okay? He whispered. I nodded, though my heart was racing. Maya had just publicly humiliated me in front of 100 people, painting me as the small-minded ex-wife who couldn't handle Derek's greatness. But then something shifted inside me. The hurt and embarrassment I was feeling transformed into something else entirely. Not anger exactly, but a kind of crystalline clarity about what needed to happen next. Derek and Maya thought they knew who I was. They thought they could dismiss me as the woman who couldn't keep up, who chose security over adventure, who was replaced by someone better. They had no idea what they were about to learn. The DJ announced that the floor was open for additional toasts from family and friends. Several people made their way to the microphone. Maya's father, Derek's best friend, various relatives sharing memories and well wishes. I waded through all of them, my mind perfectly clear about what I was going to do. When the last planned speaker finished, the DJ asked if anyone else wanted to share a few words with the happy couple. I stood up. Excuse me, I called out, my voice carrying clearly across the ballroom. The room went silent. Every head turned toward me. I'd like to say a few words, if that's okay. The DJ looked uncertain, glancing toward Derek and Maya for guidance. Of course, Derek said, though his voice sounded strained. Sophia is an old friend. I made my way to the microphone, my purple dress catching the light as I walked. I could feel every eye in the room on me, sense the anticipation in the air. Good evening, everyone, I said, my voice steady and clear. For those who don't know me, my name is Sophia Marcus, and I'm Derek's ex-wife. The collective intake of breath was audible. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. First, I want to thank Derek and Maya for inviting me to share in their special day. It takes a special kind of confidence to invite your ex-wife to your wedding. I smiled, letting the implication hang in the air. I've been listening to the beautiful speeches tonight about love and partnership and supporting each other's dreams, and it's brought back so many memories. I paused, scanning the room. Derek is absolutely right that real love is about supporting each other's growth. During our 8 years of marriage, I worked 3 jobs to support Derek's music career. 3 jobs. I let that sink in. I cleaned houses during the day, worked at a call center at night, and did weekend catering gigs. All so Derek could pursue his passion for music. I could see people doing the math in their heads, realizing what kind of sacrifice that represented. Maya mentioned that I was very practical, very focused on paying bills and keeping things stable. She's absolutely right. Someone had to pay the rent while Derek wrote songs. A few uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the crowd. But here's what's interesting about being practical. It teaches you skills that turn out to be pretty valuable. I paused again, building the tension. All those catering gigs I did to pay our bills? Turns out I was pretty good at cooking. So good that when Derek decided he needed someone who could match his ambition, I took all that practical experience and built something with IT. I could see Derek's face getting pale. For those who might not know, I'm the owner of Sophia's Soul Food, the catering company that many of you have probably heard of. Murmurs of recognition went through the crowd. We're the most exclusive catering service in the city. We employ 47 people, we're booked solid for the next 18 months, and last year we catered events for 3 Fortune 500 companies and 2 governors. The murmurs got louder. People were pulling out their phones, probably Googling my business right there in the ballroom. But that's not even the best part. I continued, my confidence growing with each word. The best part is that I built all of this after Derek decided I wasn't ambitious enough for him. I gestured toward my family. This is my husband Marcus, a successful photographer who documents my journey and celebrates my success instead of feeling threatened by it. And these are our daughters, Lily, Grace, and Joy. Triplets, born 3 years ago to parents who truly support each other's dreams. The room was completely silent now, hanging on every word. You see, Derek was right about one thing. I was practical during our marriage. I was practical enough to work 3 jobs while he pursued his passion. I was practical enough to pay all the bills while he wrote songs. I was practical enough to sacrifice my own dreams so he could chase his. My voice got stronger, more confident. But Maya was wrong about something. She said I couldn't handle Derek's big dreams, that I was too small-minded for his vision. The truth is, Derek's dreams weren't too big for me. My dreams were too big for him. I could see Derek sinking lower in his chair. Because while Derek was dreaming about maybe getting a record deal someday, I was building an empire. While he was hoping someone would discover his music, I was creating something that 3 governors wanted to be associated with. I paused, letting that land. Maya also mentioned that some women love with conditions. She's absolutely right. My condition was loyalty. My condition was that if I worked 3 jobs to support your dreams, you wouldn't throw me away the moment someone with a trust fund showed interest. Several guests shifted uncomfortably. Maya's face was bright red. But I want to thank you both, I said, my voice softening slightly. Derek, thank you for showing me that I was capable of so much more than being someone's financial support. Thank you for forcing me to discover my own strength. I looked directly at Maya. And Maya, thank you for taking him off my hands. Because if you hadn't, I never would have met Marcus, never would have built my business, never would have had my beautiful daughters. I raised an imaginary glass. So, here's to Derek and Maya. May your marriage be everything mine wasn't. May you support each other the way I supported Derek, and may you appreciate each other the way Derek never appreciated me. The silence that followed was deafening. Oh, and one more thing, I said, reaching into my purse. Derek, you might find this interesting. I pulled out a folded piece of paper. This is a copy of a contract I signed last week. Netflix wants to do a documentary about my business journey. They're particularly interested in the story of how a woman who was cleaning houses 8 years ago built a multi-million-dollar empire. Derek's face went white. They want to call it From Practical to Powerful. I thought you might want to know since you'll probably be featured in the early chapters. Don't worry, I'll make sure they capture your music career accurately. I folded the paper and put it back in my purse. Enjoy your wedding night, you two. And Derek. I looked directly at him. I hope Maya's trust fund is enough to support both your dreams this time. The ballroom erupted as I walked back to my table. Some people were applauding, others were talking excitedly, and a few were clearly filming everything on their phones. Derek looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Maya looked like she was about to cry. But I felt incredible. Not vindictive or cruel, just free. Free from the woman I used to be, free from caring what Derek thought, free from the narrative that I had somehow failed in our marriage. That was amazing, Marcus whispered as I sat down. Mama was loud, Lily said seriously. Sometimes Mama has to be loud to tell the truth, I said, kissing her forehead. We didn't stay much longer after that. We had made our point, gotten our closure, and shown everyone exactly who Sophia had become. As we were leaving, several people stopped us to ask for business cards, to congratulate me on my success, to tell me how inspiring my story was. But the most satisfying moment came as we were waiting for our limousine. Maya's mother approached me, looking embarrassed. I just wanted to apologize for my daughter's speech, she said quietly. It was inappropriate and unkind. Thank you, I said graciously. But honestly, it was exactly what I needed to hear. It reminded me how far I've come. The older woman smiled. I tried to book your company for my anniversary party last year. Now I understand why you're so successful. You have character. As our white limousine pulled away from the venue, I felt a chapter of my life finally closing. Not with bitterness or regret, but with gratitude for the journey that had brought me to this moment. Any regrets? Marcus asked as we settled in for the ride home. Just one, I said. I should have charged Derek rent for living in my head for so many years. Marcus laughed, and even the girls giggled at Mama's joke. We drove home to our beautiful house, to the life we had built together, to the future that was bright with possibility. The story should have ended there, with me walking away from Derek's wedding as the clear victor. But the universe wasn't done with Derek yet. 3 days after the wedding, my assistant handed me a newspaper with a smirk. You might want to see the society section, she said. The headline read, Local wedding becomes viral sensation. Ex-wife's speech breaks the internet. Below was a photo of me at the microphone, looking confident and powerful. The article detailed everything that had happened at the wedding, complete with quotes from guests and video clips that had been posted to social media. But that wasn't the most interesting part. The most interesting part was buried in the last paragraph. Sources close to the couple report that the bride and groom left for their honeymoon separately following what guests described as a heated argument in the bridal suite. Representatives for both families declined to comment. Marcus read the article over my shoulder. Think they'll make it to the first anniversary? He asked. Honestly, I hope they do. They deserve each other. 2 weeks later, Elena called me with news. Remember that women's shelter program you've been supporting? She asked. Of course. We just got the biggest donation in our history. Anonymous donor, but they specifically requested that the money go toward helping women start their own businesses. How much? I asked. $500,000. I nearly dropped the phone. $500,000? The donor left a note. It said, for women who need to remember that practical can become powerful. I hung up the phone with tears in my eyes. Somehow, my story was helping other women find their own strength. That's when I knew my real work was just beginning. Over the next year, Sophia's Soul Food became more than just a catering company. We started a program that hired women transitioning out of difficult situations, teaching them culinary skills and business basics. We opened a training kitchen where women could learn to cook professionally while building confidence and community. We partnered with local shelters to provide both meals and opportunities. The Netflix documentary came out 18 months later. From practical to powerful, the Sophia Marcus story became one of their most watched documentaries. Derek was featured in exactly 3 minutes of the 2-hour film, mostly as the catalyst that forced me to discover my own potential. The rest was about the empire I had built and the women I was helping along the way. Maya filed for divorce 6 months after the documentary aired. According to the gossip blogs, she cited irreconcilable differences and incompatible life goals. Derek tried to reach out to me after the divorce was finalized. He sent flowers to my office with a note that said, I'm proud of what you've accomplished. I threw the flowers away and kept the note. Not out of sentimentality, but as a reminder that some people only recognize your worth after they can't benefit from it. 5 years after that disastrous wedding, I was invited to speak at a women's entrepreneurship conference in New York. Standing on that stage, looking out at an audience of 800 women who had come to hear about resilience and reinvention, I felt the full circle of my journey. The man who threw me away in my pajamas, I told them, thought he was inviting a victim to his wedding. Instead, he invited the woman who would use his rejection as fuel to build something he could never imagine. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. After my speech, a young woman approached me with tears in her eyes. I'm living in my car right now, she said quietly. My husband left me for his secretary, and I don't know how to start over. I handed her my business card. Practical women don't just survive, I told her. We thrive. Call me tomorrow. 6 months later, she was managing one of my satellite kitchens and saving money for her own food truck. That's what Derek never understood. That's what Maya completely missed. They thought practical meant small, meant settling, meant accepting limitations. But practical women? We're the ones who figure out how to turn nothing into something. We're the ones who take rejection and turn it into rocket fuel. We're the ones who clean houses during the day and build empires at night. Derek thought he was upgrading when he traded me for Maya. What he actually did was free me to become someone he could never deserve. Today, Sophia's Soul Food has 12 locations across 3 states. We employ over 200 people, and 90% of our management team consists of women who needed second chances. My daughters are now 8 years old, and they think mama's job is helping people eat good food and feel happy. They're not wrong, but they don't know the full story yet. Someday I'll tell them about the woman I used to be, about the man who made me feel small, about the night I had to pack my life into garbage bags and start over. But I'll also tell them about the strength that was always inside me, waiting for the right moment to emerge. About the power that comes from refusing to let someone else's limitations define your potential. My name is Sophia Marcus. I am a successful business owner, a devoted wife, a loving mother, and a woman who learned that sometimes the best thing someone can do for you is show you that you don't need them. Derek's wedding wasn't my humiliation. It was my coronation. And every woman who thought she was too practical, too small, too broken to build something beautiful, your coronation is waiting for you too. Now tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? Would you have gone to that wedding, or do you think I was too extra? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I am living for your reactions to this story. Before you go anywhere, smash that subscribe button like it owes you money, give this video the biggest like of your life, and share it with every woman who needs to remember her power. We drop new stories every single day, so make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications on because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Comment below and let me know what part of this story had you shook. I read every single comment and I love hearing from my beautiful souls. Until next time, remember, you're not too practical to be powerful. You're just getting started. Bye, beautiful people.